You might not believe me when I tell you this, but the first generation Renault Twingo is a minute vehicular being which possesses incredible power. I am of course talking about its power of adorableness and French shape, which will with only minimal exposure force you to buy one for yourself and then enjoy many interesting mechanical failures it has to offer.
The Twingo sauce.
Oh, and did I mention that it's contagious? Among my friend group, Adams was the first to fall to its influence, as 2 years ago he had purchased the green, thinking it would be used as a beater, but because we liked it too much, we decided to give it some proper maintenance. I then followed his footsteps when last year I have acquired the blue, which I am still working on, trying to get it to a state of roadworthiness. But there is also Jeff, the third member of our friend group, who is a lot more serious and stoic. Which is why, even though me and Adams thought it would be really cool if each of us got their own Twingo, knowing Jeff, we thought that there is no way that is ever going to happen. But oh boy, how wrong we were. I am proud to announce that Jeff purchased the red. And by doing so, he also fulfilled the prophecy.
The collection is complete.
All infinity stones are collected.
Unlike the previous two, this was not an impulsive purchase. Because this was going to be Jeffrey's first ever car, we wanted to get one that was in really good condition. And yes, I do realize that because it's a Twangy, the bar is being set quite high. At the very least, we didn't want one that was rusty and needed tons of work. We'll get to that. Okay, so how it all happened. After some time patiently waiting and browsing listings, a glistening red nugget appeared that caught our eye. Because it was also the perfect color, we absolutely needed to go see it. And after looking at it thoroughly, liking it and negotiating the price, we struck a deal and it was time to go transfer the ownership, making Jeff officially the owner of this petite little automobile.
Are you ready to turn your first car on for the first time?
My first car.
Yes.
And off we go!
How do you feel about it?
Immaculate.
Do you think you bought the right one?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
You can
At least
see
I hope so.
the color is red.
It's red, yes. It's
Yes.
red.
Red color check.
Yes.
Engine failure.
We'll see, maybe.
Doesn't matter.
And alloy wheels as well. You're very posh. You're the poshest one of all.
Yes.
The poshest of them all.
That's the best. Yeah, definitely the best by far. The final boy.
The final piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. I'm glad that it's also not a total shitbox.
Yeah.
Because it'll be less work with it.
Yeah.
Usually people say this was from an old lady's car, but this was.
Yeah, this was old lady, but it was really sweet lady. It
Yeah.
was like the sweetest grandma you can imagine.
Yeah. By the way, does heating work? Because if it doesn't, that's gonna be a funny joke.
Yeah, it's working.
Oh, I can feel it from behind here. Jesus, it's nice and stewy.
Yeah, it is.
What else could you ask for? Amazing. What a machine.
A whole euro is here.
Ah! There you go, Mr. Owner. You saved the euro on the purchase.
Excellent.
Obviously, it wouldn't be a proper nugget without needing to have certain things fixed. We noted some stuff down during our inspection, and on the way home we also noticed a couple more things that are going to need attention.
The steering wheel is vibrating a bit.
Something is not balanced correctly.
Probably, yeah.
That's why the first thing to do was put the boy on the lift and make a list of priorities what needs to be fixed.
Original bolts, and all 5 of them are present. This is
Shit.
unprecedented. There are even bolts here.
Who would have known?
I wouldn't, because I've never seen one that is in such good condition.
And here is everything we found. Suspension-wise, the left McPherson strut bearing has play and the right lower ball joint is, well...
Oh yeah, this is crispy. If this was a steak, it would be well done.
which explains the wheel wobble on the highway.
And
Well,
we have a little bit
Yeah.
of a sauce here.
yeah.
This is a good sauce. In combination with that well done steak.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Delicious.
Then the gearbox is leaking a bit of oil from the drive shaft and also from the gear selector rod, as well as the clutch is on its way out. We also knew the AC condenser was hit and the air conditioning itself wasn't working, But the spiciest one of all would of course be regular maintenance. This being a Twingo, it wouldn't surprise you that the maintenance was a bit questionable. The previous owner didn't replace the timing belt and couldn't tell us if it was ever replaced, since there was no note or sticker anywhere. They also only changed the oil once in their 4 years of ownership. The son of the owner told us that the service interval was 15,000 kilometers, and so because they never reached that mileage, they never bothered changing it. I didn't say anything, but I was thinking, my brother in Christ, it's been 4 years, the oil in this engine is old enough to be enjoying skibidi toilet. So we'll definitely need to check the state of that timing belt as well as do an oil change. Despite everything, I think the fact that the car is mostly rust-free, except for some typical spots, outweighs everything mentioned before, as well as some paint imperfections that the car has here and there. So, with our list complete, we first decided to take a look at the AC condenser, as it looks like when it got hit, one of its mounts got moved, so it was now leaning against the sway bar. It turned out that a little rubber washer got damaged during the impact, but it seemed like it could still do its job, so for the time being we reassembled everything like it should be, and if the mount slips off again, we'll just replace the washer. Next up, we decided to inspect the timing belt. Since the interval is 120,000 kilometers or 5 years, and the car had already done 130,000 kilometers, and the previous owners didn't know if it was ever done, we were about 80% sure that we're going to have to replace it. And we will only know for sure by visually inspecting it. Though to do that, we would need to remove a couple of things.
It's nice when you have all the clips and everything just works. Porridge. This is a twingo cake. And this is what causes this to rot. That's why that happens. It's nice and sponge as well. It's like a sponge cake. We need to take off the auxiliary belt. It has a tensioner here, and you have a little problem here, right? This is a line from the air conditioning. You're like, okay, let me put a ratchet in here. Nope, not gonna happen. So what I do here, there's a special technique that I hit them with this combo. Torx 50, you put it here on. No, it's even bigger, it's 55. It needs to go in all the way, and then you take an 8mm wrench. Alright, and then this is not enough leverage. You get a 10mm as well. Fuck, that's nice. Yeah, you're doing it. Yeah. Okay, it's moving. Hey, there we go. Yeah, we're gonna show it. You see why this nut is for?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's just so you can position it, and then you tighten this one. You can see, like such.
I really need to get myself some long Torx keys for this.
Yeah, this one is new, like he said. I mean, new-ish. We gotta loosen the alternator belt.
Do you mean the turbo?
Yeah.
The belt for the...
Potato, it's the same point. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you're in Europe, you say alternator. If you're America, you say turbocharger. It's basically the same thing.
Someone gave it a lot of beans.
The beans were given. Maximum portion size of beans.
Those were probably the French beans.
Oh yeah.
The factory beans. The beans from factory.
Les beans.
Les beans, yeah.
Oh, it moved.
It moved.
Yeah.
Splendid. Now we can take this off. Yeah, perfect. Splendid. Here's the Jesus bolt. This is bolted directly to the crankshaft.
By the Jesus himself.
And we have to give him a lot of beans. Let me just see if it's the right size, because if it's not, we're gonna have a lathe. That was fast. It usually never goes that fast.
And so we got our first glimpse of the timing belt, and like we thought, it was old, very cracked, and probably still the original one, which meant that it absolutely needed to be replaced. So our next course of action was to order a new timing belt kit, which contains a new water pump, belt, and tensioners and pulleys. We would then prepare everything we could for when the new belt arrives, starting by locking the engine in top dead center.
That hole over there is where we put the pin in. To put it in if you can. Couple centimeters. Adam has feminine fingers.
Now you do it.
Oh, that boy is in there. I need someone to hold this, and I'm gonna try spinning the engine just to see.
What happens?
Yeah.
Oh, crank the engine.
No!
Yeah, it moved again.
Yeah, because I am spinning it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's locked, yeah.
That's a big W.
That's a big W, boys. We fucking put the engine into top dead center. Good lad. All right, we're gonna take the intake manifold off so we get a little bit more access. You have to take this off. And now you just... There we go. Now here you can also see the lovely juices pouring from the...
Spark plug seals.
Yeah.
Le crust.
Le crust, yeah.
This forbidden mustard might seem horrifying at first, as it is usually a sign there is water mixing with the oil, which is a big no-no. But since the oil doesn't look like that, it is most likely a sign of moisture collecting in the engine because of oil not being warmed up to the operating temperatures, due to the car only making short trips. And because the car was owned by an older lady, that checks out.
This is broken. Somebody probably overcooked it.
Yep.
The next thing we needed to remove was the engine mount, and to do that we needed to support the engine first.
Hit it. First time. Now we're talking, boys. This is good engineering here. Like, it's exactly the correct length.
We did a really good job supporting the thing.
Welcome to another episode of the French design featuring the red.
This is the water pump. This is a hose, plastic hose that is bolted to it. It has two bolts, one here and one up there. And to get to the upper one, you have to take this off. And this holds the alternator and the AC compressor. So basically all of this has to go off so we can take that hose off. Nice, good stuff.
We were a little bit quick with the engine mount removal, so we're probably just gonna put it back so it's easier to work on it. Slight modification here.
Was there a polder here?
Yeah, there was a certified pull the moment right here.
Can I fit this in here? No, I cannot.
The smart thing here would probably be to empty out the AC system and take out the compressor completely. Instead, we just unbolted it from the block and moved it to the side, thinking we cleared up enough space, which ended up biting us in the ass later.
Yeah.
Just about. Two people job. Not moving at all. Oh wait, a little bit.
No. There's more.
I don't know if this is even possible to get it out. Up, definitely not, because there's an AC compressor. Down, we're probably maybe gonna have to take off the... Oh.
Now we have access to the water pump.
Thankfully, we managed to make our way to the water pump, and this is where the boys had to go, as it was already getting late, leaving the red in my hands for the next couple of days. By removing the engine mount again, I gained access to the camshaft pulley, where I realized that the timing belt was probably already replaced on the car, because the cam pulley was one tooth ahead from top dead center. Which is why I think the belt was already replaced at some point, and just like is the trend on Twangis, wasn't done very good. It's either that or the Renault quality control was worse than I think. Interestingly, the engine wasn't making any strange noises, and it didn't feel like the car was drastically low on power. Which I guess it's hard to say because the Twangy isn't really that quick to begin with, and maybe I would have noticed the difference in a side-by-side comparison. Because of that, I also thought it could be a possibility that someone installed the cam pulley incorrectly. I don't know, it's a Twingo, everything is possible. Which is why I asked my dad for help here, because he's got way more experience than me. Together we took off the valve cover and had a little look. And it turns out my original theory was correct. The camshaft was one tooth ahead, which can be seen here where the rocker arms were already pressing against the intake valves, but when we set it one tooth back, both rockers were pretty much still. While we were here, my dad also suggested to check out the valve clearances, so we checked them and readjusted them whenever needed. I didn't mention it before, but before we took the valve cover off, we also emptied out the AC system. Because the engine bay is already as small as it is, so I don't really need the AC compressor getting in the way. Then we also cleaned the contact surfaces for the valve cover and the intake manifold. I also removed the old seals from the valve cover as well as the valve cover gasket and disassembled the intake manifold in preparation to clean it.
Clean this out.
I also removed the old intake duct gaskets, which were very old and hard, to no one's surprise.
This is very hard. Yeah.
There's a vacuum leak waiting to happen.
I also cleaned up both parts, and during the next couple of days when the new parts arrived, I started putting everything back together. When I was sure that the surface was clean, I started with the water pump, then the tensioner and the new timing belt, which already had the timing marks on it that perfectly lined up with the marks on the engine. I then reinstalled the engine mount and turned the engine over for a couple of rotations by hand, listening for any weird noises. And because there were none, it meant that everything should be fine. I then reinstalled various belt covers and mounts for the alternator and the AC compressor, installed the alternator, and then fitted the valve cover and the intake manifold, which have now both been cleaned, with brand new gaskets and installed them on the car. To finish it off, I also reinstalled the AC compressor, the belt and some other little details. I also cleaned out the cake batter from the fender cavity, which ended up yielding quite a lot of material. And I also replaced the right lower ball joint. It was a bit easier this time, however, still a pain in my ass. And with that, most of the rat's problems have been solved. Not all of them, but most of them. The remaining ones, as well as some preventative measures, will be done in the next video. And because the tech inspection is also approaching, we'll need to do an additional check to make sure he'll pass it without problem. The clutch, even though it's worn, should still have enough life in it to last at least half a year, so we'll get to that eventually. I'd like to thank you for watching this video and welcoming the newest member of this silly nugget family, and I hope you stay tuned for more Twingo shenanigans coming up. For now, like always, I'd like to say thanks again for watching, grab yourself some stickers if you want, and have a great rest of your day.